Hi everybody, my name's Anuska Heathcote, and I'm setting up my own podcast called Resilience Rising. The reason for that name is because I've been told I'm resilient a lot throughout the years after surviving addiction, surviving mental health and dealing with it daily, and which methods work for me, might work for you, might be helpful. Women's problems, health, mental health, addiction, domestic violence, to name a few. I've kind of been through and covered them all, to be fair. Everyone's got a story and this is mine. So at the age of 19, I moved out the family home and I was met with Class A's. And that was then, I was on the wrong path and I was off on that wrong path. And in turn with that comes a whole lot of rubbish. Homelessness, not being able to bring my kids up in the correct manner, not be present as a mother, my priorities would slip. Then in turn, because I was so negative about myself, I was drawing in what I was putting out, so I was getting negativity back. Found myself in a relationship that my partner had been killed, and we had a daughter together who was nearly 2, so that was difficult. In turn, I went off the rails with drugs and didn't care about living for a good year until I started living for my daughter, and then put myself in rehab in 2002 to then meet a lad there who I thought I loved because he'd been kicked out. So we got into a relationship, which is the red flag itself in starting, but I was really hot for red flags, it seems. I didn't notice that at the time, but looking back, yeah, red flags were definitely something that attracted me back then. So that in turn, he was still addicted to alcohol, which I didn't know, and became abusive. And that was really difficult to get out. The only way I survived, and I used to lie there at night thinking I'm just going to punch the police in the face because I need to get out of this relationship and my kids need saving from the emotional abuse in turn, which came with the domestic violence, bringing social services to my door, all go hand in hand. And I always wished and went to sleep wanting to go to jail, and be careful what you wish for because it came true. But that saved my life and got rid of my abuser. That was the only way I got rid of him because his family just didn't want him and he was just stuck. I was stuck with him. He was in the bedroom all day drinking, and in turn would kick off for myself and then my mum and my sister, who would jump in the middle. In front of the kids, they didn't care. So yeah, jail saved me. I got 6 months in jail for shoplifting. I was a petty criminal way back then in 2006, 7 now. After 5, 6 years with this crazy man. And yeah, jail saved my life. I came out a better person for it and stayed clean for 3 years, 3 or so years. And then things would get tough. I would lose properties through debt and not covering it and paying my bills, and would find myself homeless and back with my mum. In turn, she would throw me out. I would go to the homeless, and then they would have to ring her to say, can I go back? Which I didn't want to, and she would say yeah. So it was really messing with my mind that my mum could see me struggle and walk into the homeless all uphill with a pram to then take me back. So we got into a fight and she punched me in the face. So I'd gone to the housing with that and they put me in a domestic violence refuge, which I felt a bit of a fraud. Even though I'd been through it, I felt like a fraud because many women were there for being beat by their husband or their boyfriends. I was there because my mum had punched me in the face, but it got me in the door. And in turn, so I had to leave my hometown and everything behind to go to Glossop in a domestic violence refuge, Women's Aid, which I really, really appreciate now. Then I moved back to Oldham with my mum again. And life just picked up kind of from that point. But then I would find stresses or life or my noise in my head wouldn't be silenced. So then all I knew was to turn to drugs. So I would go backwards and forwards, get clean, get not clean, social service be involved, I'd be in and out. Once the heat was on me, I'd straighten up, get clean, and then as soon as they're gone, I'd press the F-it button and I would go straight on self-destruct. Living with my mum was difficult as much as I appreciated it at the same time. And then the housing just wouldn't bother with me, because with addiction comes people who then come to your property and become antisocial, or you do yourself. And I didn't really care for any of these properties, so I was constantly losing properties and battling. In the end, I had to be open and honest with the housing and write them a letter saying I'd been battling with addiction, and they could see I was really trying, and then rehouse me. I have moved around Oldham like you wouldn't believe. It's been relentless up until the last 16, 17 years where I've had my own property up in a lovely area called Delph, which I still live now. And I went to detox 2019 and then to Dayab for a week, and I could not cope with at home, so I moved into rehab, and I was there for 10 weeks. So I'd done 13 weeks getting clean, staying around like-minded people, doing a lot of NA meetings, and then we were hit with lockdown. And while everyone were clapping for the NHS, I was withdrawing on my settee because I'd used for a solid week and then had to cold turkey for a week in turn, which I got there in the end, and been clean since, off Class A's. I went on holiday and had a drink about 3.5 years ago, so I'm coming up to 3.5 year mark of being clean. But I want to cover things like not just addiction, domestic violence, unspoken things, menopause, stoma bags, cancer, health issues, mental health, what I do to help me that might help you, or in turn your comments might help somebody else. And I'm thinking we can do this together, you know, if you just give this podcast a watch once we get it up and running. I truly believe this is the start of something beautiful. And with the help of my friend Ross, we're going to make this and raise the roof, because I truly believe there's too much shame upon addiction. There's too much shame upon being in a DV relationship. There's too much shame about cancer and where private places it's in. Stoma bags, urostomy bags, lack of sex drive. There's a lot to it, and menopause for me is a thing. Women, it's unheard of. We don't speak about it enough because we're so ashamed because we're put in these brackets, and I think it's ridiculous. So I'm really going to make these subjects a highlight for everybody. I've just found out I've got kidney disease, which is at a stable level. I'm not too worried about it. But as soon as I'd wrote that, a post on Facebook, I had a lot of women reaching out to me. As soon as I said I had cervical cancer, which I've now got rid of, I'm a survivor of a lot of things. God must want me here for a purpose, and I think this is it, because I have survived so many things. Overdose, cancer. If I'd have been at the start of when my partner got killed, I'd have certainly jumped in the middle, so I wouldn't have survived that. But God wants me here for a reason, and I truly believe it's to pass the message on to others. And I've always said, if I could help at least one person, it's not such a waste of life. I'm going to turn all that negativity into positivity, and that's the way I see it now. If I could just help one person, that's something for me. I love helping people. I used to volunteer at the detox centre, then I got poorly, and I don't volunteer anymore. But that's my passion, is to help people. I'm really selfless at that. I'd like to think I don't beat my own drum, but with that I will, because I really get so much. It's just I think it's a mother instinct, and it's a natural reaction to help someone. If I see someone face down on the street, I'm the first person over there, if nobody else. Because when I used to get hit on the street of my boyfriend, my partner then, not my partner now, I would want somebody to stop and help me, but nobody ever did. And I can't go past them sort of things. As much as people say walk the other way in Uska, I just can't stop, and I'd like to really just make sure that person's okay before I leave. And I just like that in me. You know what, if you would have asked who Anuska was a year ago, I would not have had a clue. But I'm resilient, I'm a survivor, I ain't a victim no more. I am wanting to help others. I'm really passionate about that. And if you'd like to join me on this ride, please do, because I'd be more than grateful for your help. We start recording next Tuesday. This is just a little snippet into what to be expected. And I am so excited about this. It lights up my world. This is what I've been living for, and I can't wait. And I have the pleasure of someone really nice helping me with that. And we're in it together. It's equal. I am very much an equal person. I've been that woman that will walk 6 miles for someone. They won't drive 3 miles for me. And now I want to be treated as I treat others, and you've got to meet me in the middle. I don't mind being that friend that does that little bit extra at times, but I want to see even the thought process in you too. But that is not a massive deal about this podcast, but I'm just explaining the kind of person I am. And I really want to help people. And if this podcast, like I said, can reach one person or 100, it doesn't matter. You know, as long as I can know I'm doing something. So if you would like to comment or you think this is going to benefit you, then reach out, please do. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions or get research as much as I can. And I'm going to have special guests join me on my podcast. We've got a few ideas in the making. So I'm really excited about this. It just really, honestly, it just makes me smile because now I feel I've got a purpose. And I've been kind of self-isolating like you do when you pull back with addiction. But it wasn't because of addiction, it was through health. And health can have you on, if your body ain't right, your mind ain't right. So I now get up and move myself. Even if my body is fighting against it, I'll get up and walk and walk and walk because that really helps me. And some days I just don't want to, and I'll go out with my pajamas on. I just need to get out because I know what works for my mental health, which has led me to this point because I wasn't confident a year ago enough to have even spoke in front of a camera or even took a selfie anymore. But yeah, with the good people around me and my good support network, I think this podcast is really going to thrive. I'm so excited to see what the future brings. Please bear with me, it is coming. We're going to go record Tuesday, our first ever podcast. Thank you everybody for listening.